Hello, Jay.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going real well. I had to check my watch to make sure it's still morning.
I
It
think
is,
oh
indeed.
yeah, it is morning. It won't be at the end of this conversation.
Right? Love it. Love
Okay,
it.
I have to tell you the story right away. So, thank you for the chocolates.
You're welcome.
So nice.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. My husband goes out in the morning and walks past our like big picture window and saw like footsteps through the snow like coming from the street, and our mailman cuts across like the grass from our neighbor's yard. So he's like, "What? Like what's going on?" So he opens the door and he looks out, and this box is sitting there, and for sure a squirrel almost had like a smorgasbord of chocolates because he got through like the first like thin layer of cardboard and was making his way through the second.
The squirrels even know what's good,
Oh my,
right?
they knew like right away. So my husband
That's
was
funny.
like, like middle fingers, like get out of here, squirrels. But yes,
Oh,
we
those little
enjoyed
rats
them
are
all.
terrible.
Yes, they're horrible. Okay, so I was looking at your LinkedIn, which you don't have no one updates, but I was looking at it.
Gosh, I'm horrible at LinkedIn. I
We
got
have
to become better now that you brought that up.
Now I brought it up,
Mhm.
it's gonna
Mhm.
encourage you. We have 69 mutual connections.
Do we really?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I feel like that's a fair amount. That's piss poor, actually, but
Is
fair
it really
amount.
that bad? I need to step it
We
up.
know mutually, we know more than 69 people.
I hope so.
And then I also saw that you are a certified stage hypnotist.
Is that the first time you saw that?
Yes.
Is it?
Someone's told me, people have told me a lot about your history, but probably someone's told me that before. Do you still do that?
Hopefully it's not all greasy. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yes, I do. I still do stage shows all the time.
Really?
I do not combine my Jay Bryan stuff with Adagio.
Okay, separate.
Separate, completely separate.
And so maybe that's why we don't have so many connections
Totally.
on LinkedIn, because it's the Jay Bryan Jay.
Right.
Also,
well, no.
Oh.
It is my
there's
personal
Adagio on there.
page.
Okay.
So I have my first name, my middle name, because that's my stage name for hypnosis, and then my last name.
Which is Kochendorfer.
Hey,
I said it right
Bingo.
in the intro.
You did?
Woo!
Wow. You might get more chocolates.
Yes. My husband is like head over heels about that suggestion.
Did he have a few of the chocolates?
Yeah, all.
Yeah? All of them?
No, not all, but
Holy smokes.
I had 6 because it's my favorite number.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, so
Hence six
pence.
pence.
I know.
Yes.
And then you'll notice anytime I use an example, like episode 0, I was talking to Haley and I was like, said something and I was like, yeah, like when you're 6 years old. It just comes out. Like I'll say 6 for everything. People are like, how many husbands do you have? I'm like 6. They're like, okay. I mean 1.
That's a great conversation, an icebreaker, right?
Yeah, how many husbands do you
Right,
have?
how many husbands? That's
I'm going to
funny.
start asking people that. Are you married? How many husbands do you have?
6. Wow.
Okay.
So did you do any research on the hypnosis?
No.
No?
I
That was
didn't.
it.
That was
saw it
it.
on LinkedIn
Well, I
and you're
was
like,
like,
wow.
let me just ask Jay in person, and he'll tell me more
Mhm.
about hypnotism.
Yeah.
We did like my high school like party, graduation party.
Yes.
There was a hypnotist. We went like downtown Seattle. We went to this like laser bowling, and I don't think we slept at all. We just had like this
All
big
night long.
charter bus. Oh, so fun.
And then you had a guy like me come in and knock you out and make you sleep.
Yeah, like there was 5 people. It wasn't. I didn't go on stage. I
No?
can't remember who. Christine Wemhoff did. I don't know who.
That
else.
surprises me. I think you'd be a great
He
subject.
probably was like, okay, so not that super excited girl, like who's gonna be really obnoxious and take all the limelight.
Right. I love the obnoxious people, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
and what I
me.
do, it helps for sure. But no, I've been doing that for 10 years. It's crazy.
Okay, how did you get started doing that? Did it stem into DJ, or did you start DJ first and then?
I totally started DJ first. I started doing stage shows and performances and weddings at 14 years old. I know, right? That ages me because this January marks my 30th year in this business.
You just gave away your age.
I did.
No.
I did. Wow. So no, it's been a great ride. It's been a blessing. It's been amazing. And then 10 years ago, just wanted to level up the, entertainment factor, and like I can do this. This is solid.
Right.
And the training about did me in. I'm
Because
like,
it was intense.
it was so intense. It
Where
was
did you do your training at?
Vegas.
Okay.
Vegas. Did my training in Vegas.
For wedding DJ.
No, for hypnosis.
Oh, for hypnosis. Okay.
Yeah. And then to
Yeah.
get my certification,
Yeah.
part of it was writing 2 90-minute shows from hello to goodbye with 500 people,
Oh.
and then hypnotizing people on the strip at midnight.
Oh, how did that go?
It was interesting.
What hotel
Like
did you do it in front of? or
Oh,
whereabouts?
we went up and down the strip. And it was our core group. It was our class. Like we were
Right.
watching each
and
other
supporting each other.
supporting
Like,
each other.
"Boo,
And
you suck."
they brought the like the big boom lights, and they brought
Yeah.
like they looked like a news station was there, and all the lights lit up because then
That's so
that
cool.
flocked people in. Like, what is going on over here?
Yeah.
So that brought the people together, which was, I mean, that was the whole deal.
I love Vegas.
So it was all theatrics, right, and the whole setup, and yeah, like I knocked somebody out, and I'm like, "Are you serious right now? This actually works. This is crazy." So
You're like, "Did you just see that?"
I'm like, yeah, of course, right? We all were like, we're just in shock, and so then I did more advanced training and different methods, and
Right.
I had some great trainers. One of my trainers is currently working with the NBA, hypnotizing a lot of the basketball players, and
For fun or therapeutically?
therapeutically,
Right.
actually.
And what are the benefits? Oh, this is so
Lots of
interesting.
benefits.
Tell me
Lots of
about it.
benefits. Better sleep,
Yeah.
less stress, whatever the issues are. That's more clinical stuff. I do refer a clinical hypnotherapist that I think is amazing, and she's normal.
Yeah.
It's the best part about it. I think in our business there's a lot of whack jobs out there, but if I actually had a clinic setting, I would have definitely a base clientele,
Yeah.
but I just don't have the time to do it. Not passionate about it.
Yeah.
I'd be hearing about people's problems all day long. So, but yeah, no, very interesting. It's opened up a lot of doors to many things. You want to know the number one question I get?
Yeah, I do.
Believe it? So, in adults,
Yeah.
you're always like, okay, what's the issue? What's the problem? How can I help? And then you sit and listen. Adult bedwetting.
What?
Adults wetting the bed.
No way.
And I'm like, my
That's
first
the most
question is, are you
common?
cocktailed up like the night before?
Yes.
Like,
Because drinking, what is that? Uresis?
I don't,
Alcohol related.
Right.
Yeah.
and I
that's
don't
a thing.
understand because I've never wet the bed.
Right.
I
That
mean,
you know of.
That I know of.
Let's
right.
call your mom.
Right.
Let me tell you a story.
Right. So that's the number one question I get, and then of course, let your mind wander. All these questions.
Right.
But it's interesting. It's fun. It's a complete entertainment factor for me. My specialty is the all-night grad parties, proms.
Fun.
In the summer, I do fairs. In the this time of year, I'm doing corporate holiday parties.
Okay.
A lot of Fortune 500 companies, big companies, small companies. Whoever brings
For
me
like
in.
holiday parties?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
like team building? Do you ever do that?
Team building, we can do
Yeah.
it for team building. It's a great opportunity. And then, of course, with the team building, you put a suggestion in the hypnosis.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That makes it kind of fun, and you
That's
tie
cool.
it to the organization. But usually it's a 60-minute show from hello to goodbye, and we get people to drag their rear end on the dance floor, and
It's fun.
laughing at funny movies, and oh gosh, there's a whole list of things we make them do.
That's so
So it's
cool. You
fun.
do have videos online.
You don't realize it, but I'm hypnotizing you right now.
Oh man. Well, I don't get embarrassed by anything.
I love it. That's why you'd be a great
it'd
subject.
be fine.
Right?
People would be like, "Can you believe you did this?" I'd be like, "Meh, sounds about right."
It's accurate. It's on par.
Okay, so remind me. You said that you did stage performing first,
So yeah, at the age of
14.
14, yep.
and then how did you get into weddings? Do your family do weddings or a restaurant or something like that? That's
Yeah.
what I've heard.
Yep,
A
yep.
restaurant
Restaurant.
by Welch. No.
Well, halfway between Hastings and Red Wing, called Meesville.
Okay.
Wiederholt Supper Club.
Okay.
I worked there.
And they still have that.
Still had that, third generation.
And you
my
live
cousins.
out there? No.
Well, no. I
Okay.
live now in St. Paul. I moved my family from Hastings to St. Paul 4 months ago.
Okay.
So
Oh,
awesome
yay, new
transition.
house.
Fun, right? It's
That's
an old
exciting.
girl, 96 years old.
That's good.
Went from a new
Charm.
house to an old one, and there's some drippy faucets and
Oh, yeah.
all the stuff that an old house has.
Little things.
Doors don't open right, and you put
Why
a
would
marble on the
they?
floor, and it goes to the other side of the room.
Yeah.
but-
That's called a game. That's a game that you play.
That's
like you get multiple marbles.
we could make a game out of it for sure. But no, it's fun, and yeah. So I have that entrepreneurial spirit, so to speak, in me
Right.
that my family has had, and I know my grandfather, who I never knew, passed away before I was born, but people do tell me that I remind them of my grandfather Cy, who had different businesses and several at the time. But yeah, so it would have been awesome to meet my grandpa back in the day if I'm being compared to him,
Right.
and I just never knew who he was, but kind of feel like I sort of did. But yeah, I've got an amazing family of entrepreneurs, and they're still running several different businesses, and they're successful.
Right.
So there's a passion there, and anybody can be successful in life if you have a passion and a drive to want to do it and make it happen.
Yeah,
You
do
just
the
got to set
work.
goals. You got to do the work.
Do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with weddings. Like, you're going to have a shitty wedding if you don't do any work.
Exactly.
Even if you hired a wedding planner, like,
Mm-hmm.
you still have to tell them things you like
Yeah.
and sign contracts
And things
pay
you
money.
don't like, right?
Right.
Don't tell us all the
Right.
things you love because, you want to tell us the stuff that
Like, I hate the chicken dance. How many times do you hear that?
every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And you're like, but why?
It's funny because a generation of people getting married now, I'm like, do you want to do the bunny hop? And I say that jokingly. They're like, I've never heard of it.
No.
I'm like, of course you haven't, because
What do we do for the bunny hop?
Right. It's like the old tradition back from the, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's got to go back to the 40s and 50s where
Yeah.
it's like back, forward,
Yeah.
back,
Da, da, da.
hop, hop, hop. It's like your grandma and grandpa would love it, right? So, yeah.
And why I kind of feel like you should play those older songs. Allie and I were talking about this in the last episode, that by playing songs that the older generation likes, that older generation will stay and dance, and then they can leave because they probably don't want to stay until 2 a.m.
Right.
But
They're gonna
maybe
bail
they'll
first.
transition into this like newer age songs that they might find they like dancing to.
I would love to.
know.
I would love to find the grandma at a wedding.
Yeah.
Still searching.
Yeah.
That would actually we could. We're not into costumes and all these crazy things. We're tasteful on a subtle DJ company,
Suits.
right?
Yeah.
Or just something that she can play the part of the wedding singer, or the
Yes.
rapper's delight, and
Yes.
totally just start rapping on stage,
Everyone's like, oh.
right? And just get crazy, like where people. It just how it is. It's not about the DJ.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. It depending on the company, right?
It could be about the DJ and what they like playing, and they're really sick of that
Right.
one Britney Spears song, so they're just gonna play the music that they like.
But that's what makes it easy for us at Adagio, because
Yeah.
it's not about the DJ, it's about the client.
Right.
Right. So
What do
when I
you
say
wanna
it's not
hear?
about the DJ, let me take that back, because a lot of these companies make it about themselves and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is the way the program's going to go. And I'm
I
going to talk
know
like Casey
music.
Kasem and all this stuff. So when you sit back and like listen and ask questions, and I'm excited, and I've trained the staff in this too, is tell us about your vision. What
Right.
do you love?
Right.
What don't you like? Like, not many companies will ask that question.
Right.
Um,
Or
And then-
also the thing that you guys do really well is like, what's the timeline of your day?
mm-hmm.
Like, I obviously, as the day of coordinator, can't stand when I provide like a timeline for people and then they don't read it and they're like, well, we didn't know that this was happening right now. So it's really helpful when the DJ's like, oh yeah, are we still gonna do this at this time? Like,
Right.
I'm all ready for it if you're ready, and I'll be like, okay, let me just make sure the bride and groom are ready. Oh, they're
I'm,
ready. Let's
I'm
do it.
telling you, the best advice I always have for couples is, when they say, my mom and
Mm-hmm.
her friends,
Mhm.
and I'm
My
like,
sister,
okay, I
she
know where
just
this
got
is
married.
going. Yeah,
Mhm.
my sister, she just got married. We're all like these awesome wedding planners, and I really want to say, you're really not.
In the nicest way possible.
Oh, of
Because
course.
you've only done it one time.
Right.
Like, I this is my every weekend.
Here's the best part about what I do, and being in the business as long as I have, and I'm not old. I'm a young guy. I consider myself to be young. My best advice is let your family members enjoy your day.
Yes.
Hire a planner. If it's a full coordination planner, awesome. It's going to be less stressful.
Right.
But at least do day of.
At least day
At
of.
least day of. People that can organize your vendors, your
Yep,
people, your
yep.
timelines, and relax and enjoy. Don't worry about Aunt Sally if she's got the cake cut yet. Don't
Right.
worry about Bob if he's got the flowers.
Yeah.
All these crazy things, right? So my best advice to couples is always hire professionals, spend some money. It's going to be worth it in the end.
It's one day.
It's one day.
You can't go back and redo it.
You can't. But I'll tell you, the more we work with planners and coordinators, and it's not like, and usually it's not a first time thing, right? I mean, it happens, but usually it's people we've worked with often. And we're like, Josie from Sixpence, she's got it.
Yeah.
She's got it. So it makes our life easier too.
Right. Because we work together.
Mhm.
I always say, like, if
Mhm.
your vendors know, like, and trust each other and get along, like, you're going to have such a better day.
You are.
Because your vendors are going to be happy, and then they're going to be spreading their happiness to everyone else.
Mhm.
So maybe, like, you do have a hangry aunt that's like, where's my gluten-free roll? But then everyone else, like, the catering is so nice to them. And, like, their day of coordinator, she was like, here's your gluten-free roll. Like, I went and, like, had to dig in the back and found it for you early.
Right.
Then that person's going to be happier and not spread their negativity. Like,
Well, and you're providing an experience for these
right.
couples. And here's the deal: venues are sick and tired of people coming in, trashing their venues,
Yes.
catering, coming in, leaving stuff. It's just
Not
dirty.
taking out the garbage.
Everything,
Oh,
right?
you have to take out the garbage.
A lot of venues now are
Yeah.
requiring coordinators,
Yep, they are.
which I think
and
is
insurance.
yes, which
Yep.
I think it's imperative, and I think it's
A sign that there's value.
mhm,
Right?
mhm.
Like if the person that does this day in and day out is
Right.
like, you need this,
Peace
like,
of
why
mind.
wouldn't you trust that?
Peace of mind.
Yes.
People need peace of mind,
Yes.
and let your family enjoy the wedding.
yes, your sister, she doesn't want to coordinate. She loves you.
Right.
She doesn't want to help you.
But
She
she
wants to
said
fluff
she
your
would.
dress.
Right. That's about it.
And
That's
like
about
take you to go pee, like, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. So along those lines of advice that you would give couples when couples inquire with you, say I'm a bride or a groom, and I'm like, I'm thinking about having Adagio DJ my wedding. What does that process look like? Where do they go? What are their options? I mean, I know it's numerous, but I don't know anything about DJ. Tell me
Right.
everything.
So that's the magic can question, right? Because people always say, "We've heard about you. We like you. Where do we begin?" And I'll
Right.
tell you where it begins. Really, advice in the industry. So people are talking, right? Like,
Right.
what do I do? They're sharing their stories, some positive, some negative.
Right.
I had a friend that had a DJ that. I'm like, I can fill in the blank for you. It happens every day. But the experience at Adagio, what they're going to experience here is a beautiful website that we just
I know, with the
launched.
video
It's
on the
awesome.
homepage.
Awesome. So it goes over our purpose.
Right.
What company goes over their purpose in making it an experience for you and making it about you?
Right.
Not many.
It is about
So-
the bride and groom.
We're filling that void and that gap of delivering the Adagio experience to every client that starts with us. Now they're going to see the site, and in order even to get to the website,
Hmm.
they have had to have heard, I would assume, some decent things about us.
Right.
Okay.
Or I think if you like type it into Google, like,
What's that?
oh my,
Of course.
like your reviews pop up,
Right.
right?
So that helps.
Yeah.
That helps. So they get the eye candy, they get the reviews, and they're like, okay. And thankfully, I'm super blessed that we have an amazing DJ and office team.
Right.
And
It is a good team.
and the reviews go with the website, then they inquire, right? They get a quote because nobody knows other than what to ask other than
How much?
how
does it
much
cost?
do you cost?
Right.
Okay, so that's a very broad question. Do you and the question is in order to serve you best, might I ask what your budget is?
Right.
What do you want or what are you envisioning?
Right.
Because if they want a 400 DJ and they want,
Ceremony
the
musicians.
ceremony, the live musicians, the whole deal for $400 or $500, it saves everybody time. And we just say, you know what, sweetheart, I want the best for you on your wedding day, but we are not the right fit for you.
Maybe rent some equipment and have an iPod.
Don't even go there. Raise the budget, right? Don't even try to get people to put all that together.
Instead of getting a wedding dress, invest in your DJ.
Or cut the shrimp and the veggie platter on the
Yes.
buffet.
Oh, shrimp. Oh. Why would you get shrimp in
But
Midwest?
yeah. So the experience is inquire.
Yeah. And
We-
say what you need.
Right. And the
Right.
best part about Adagio, I can say this because most companies do not do this,
Right.
is we don't have an instant quote.
Right.
We
No,
don't
it's
like
customized.
it's all customized.
Yep.
Like how can we quote you if we don't know how to serve you?
Right.
That's
so
crazy.
The questions that like you want to know, or the answers that you want to know, like, are you having a DJ or live musician for your ceremony?
Right.
And do you want the live ceremony musician to come from Adagio?
Right.
So if they're like, my cousin plays piano and she's gonna play for our wedding,
Love it.
right?
Bring her in, make it special.
Maybe like, how long is your ceremony?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a 15-minute, or is it like guests arrive and there's a cocktail hour before their ceremony,
Mhm.
and then there's another cocktail hour? This is like my ideal wedding.
Right, right.
Lots of cocktail hours. And then do you want them to play during cocktail hour? Is it in the same location as a ceremony? Is it
Every event space
off-site?
space is so different. So gosh, we do ceremonies that are 15 minutes. We do some that are 45.
right? And it makes a difference.
Huge difference.
Also, something to think about that I think people forget all the time is you don't want your music for your ceremony to start when you start walking down the aisle. You want it to start when guests are arriving. So
Gotta
they
have
feel
it for prelude.
invited
Mhm.
to sit down
Mhm.
and to stop mingling, because let me tell you, herding 200 people to sit down in pews in 5 minutes, it's just not the
Not easy.
easiest.
Not easy. And you know what? Make it what I try to create is, first of all, tell me your vision. Do we fit it?
Right.
If we fit it, beautiful. Let's create something super cool.
Right.
Make it a wow factor
Right.
for the guests.
I always think that by starting with like that inviting music,
Yeah.
it can really set the tone for the whole day.
Absolutely.
Instead of people standing around being like, I don't know what to do or where to go. Like, I don't know. Can we sit down yet? I don't know. Like, are we allowed to?
Mhm.
You know, if you just have music playing and like tell either your day of coordinator or have like your ushers actually usher, and,
Right,
like,
right.
and be like, come sit down. Like, that can really set the tone for a fancy wedding.
Well, and the thing is, too, is create something different. I mean, we're not a cookie cutter company.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll play the Canon in D, the Trumpet Voluntary, Ave Maria, whatever. We'll play those songs, but it's like, okay,
There's a lot of other options.
there's a ton of other options. And the question always comes up, what is different? How can we strike an amazing experience? Keep it affordable. Um, things come up, I mean, things that just come to mind. And I mean, there's so many options with our live musicians. Guitar flute duos.
Oh, I love guitars. Acoustic anything at a wedding is like my jam.
But
That and a string
what
quartet,
what
but-
is it as a guest? So I always tell people when you're think of you as a guest
At your own wedding.
at your own wedding.
Yeah.
And then people are like, I don't even need to say anything more. They just have a couple aha moments and they're like,
Oh.
oh, yeah.
I do
Mhm.
get bored at weddings
Mhm.
when I'm just sitting there listening to weird dinner music during the ceremony.
So then I
before
say,
it starts.
so I'm sensing you have an aha moment, and I'm very black and white that way, just because we've had the experience, and we want to be,
You know.
we know, and we'll chunk that down. You're having an aha moment. What's in your mind?
Right. Right
And
now.
then,
Okay.
and then no,
Okay.
I'm not saying
Oh.
right now. Like, what's on your mind? Yeah, you can tell me.
You
what's
said
on
it
your
so genuine. I was like, okay, let me think of something really quick.
I was hypnotizing you. That's why.
Well,
kidding.
what is on my mind is that I had a bride who walked down the aisle to "Here Comes the Sun," and that was like so precious, and it was
That's
like
cool.
with her dad. I really like when they make it a song that's meaningful to their relationship with their parent or I had grooms that walked down to no music.
Mm-hmm.
They just walked in, and then the ceremony started, and so everyone was like, oh, "What's going on?" And then the music started later. I think that's cool too. You know, it's super unique.
Yeah, that is unique.
Because they
It's
were like,
different.
well, no one's gonna escort us down the aisle, and I think that is like a concern with same-sex couples is like, how do we manage the the processional part since we're non-traditional? And it's like, well, you manage it any way you want.
Now,
Like,
let me
do
tell you,
whatever feels right for you.
let me tell you from a DJ perspective. When the groom's coming down the aisle by himself with no music, guess what happens?
No one pays attention.
Oh no,
Oh.
they're looking at the DJ. Like, why isn't the music
Oh
going?
yeah.
They're like, what is going on? Like, why?
Press play.
Like, where's the
dude.
DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, press play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny because whenever anybody needs something at a reception,
It's the DJ's
it
fault.
is the DJ. Like,
Well, I
We're in
depend on
the
the DJ a
restroom.
lot. Like, hey,
Right.
can you announce that like the dessert is out?
Right.
You know, because I'm running around telling people, and they're like, "Yeah, f off, lady." Like,
right, right.
But if you do it, it's such like authority, and like I don't know. I feel like DJs have such power over the crowd. Like, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated for dinner. Everyone sits. Meanwhile, Josie's been trying for 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Could you please sit down? And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
The power of a microphone, right?
Yeah, seriously.
No,
Authority.
but you know, in our business too, a lot of it stems from the DJ. Like, for example, if you hire a company that isn't organized, that doesn't
Yep.
know their stuff,
Yeah.
and they start the first dance without the videographer and the photographer because they're eating their vendor
Yes,
meal,
and that is a thing. They
Like-
have to eat at some point.
they do.
But let's give them a chance to swallow because they speed eat.
Right, we do. But a good DJ company and a good DJ, let's be a little more organized.
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
wait until
10
they're
minutes,
there.
this is going to happen. Are you ready? Are you game? Like,
Yeah.
and then communicate with that with the couple. So if we don't do that, guess what? It's a DJ's fault. So-
instead of like the photographer, videographer
Right.
for like eating,
Like, where
shame
were
on
you? Like, they
Right.
hired you,
Right.
but it's my fault. No, kidding. It's there's a lot of behind the scenes things with
Yes.
Adagio in doing, you know, and delivering the Adagio experience and being different and being organized and working with the planner. In I could go on. I could speak for hours about
or
that.
even like arriving early. Like you guys
That's
always
helpful.
arrive early and set
Right.
up, and
It's
you're
better than
already
arriving
set up.
late. Right.
And then you can kind of assess too. I had a wedding in October and it was raining. And so we had to switch where the DJ was going to be set up. Well, if the DJ had showed up, it was Adagio. But if the DJ had showed up like 5 minutes before the ceremony starts, or let's say 30 minutes is probably realistic, is what most people think. Like the
Right.
officiant shows up 30 minutes before.
Oh my gosh,
But-
if I arrived 5 minutes before a ceremony, I'd be throwing up in my mouth.
Yes.
That'd be horrible.
You'd be like, I'm sorry. But so then it was easy and it wasn't hectic. We weren't rushed because
Right.
we had plenty of time to like figure out, okay, this is our inclement backup plan. Like, would this be the best place or this be the best place? And what are guests actually going to do? Which it's fine if the venue has like a backup plan that it's their go-to, you know? But what about the guests that are invited?
Right.
Are those guests the type of people that will follow those instructions or follow that plan? Or what if they're
Yeah.
a ton of smokers? They don't care that it's raining. They're going to go smoke somewhere,
Right.
you know?
But if it's raining and they're sitting outside, they're going to be looking like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
what are we
they're not
doing
gonna
here?
sit
So they're
outside.
going to be in tune. That brings up a great thing. We've had a huge problem with rainouts the
It was
last
super
2
rainy.
years.
Yes.
The last 2 years. For some reason,
Yep.
in June
Yep.
and,
Monsoon.
and July,
Mm-hmm.
between 2 and 4, it
Yep.
rained.
Yep.
And then we were watching radars, because we're doing a number of weddings and we want to make sure they go flawlessly
Right.
or as flawless as we can. And
Right.
we've got systems, we've got courts, and we do a lot of weddings at farms and barns and outdoor
Yep.
venues and private residences. And in the ceremony, a lot of it, these days is on site. Is it 80% or more ceremonies on
Something
site?
like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty high. So we have tested in the last year new sound systems that are pop-up. And they run off of
yeah.
a marine battery. And we're thinking to ourselves, okay, this cannot be
Right.
worthy of anything,
Like,
right?
we're
Or
not gonna use
reliable.
this.
Like what are we going to do if the battery dies, right?
Yeah.
We're out.
Yeah. But no.
So, and we test a lot of products before we use them. We have to because it needs to be reliable. And I'm telling you, these sound systems that we
Yeah.
use for ceremonies,
They're great.
incredible. So you get a pair of these speakers. You could do a dance party at full volume for 8 hours
Yeah.
in the middle of a cornfield.
Fine.
And the
Just on
sound is
battery.
incredible
No
on battery.
hookup.
No hookup.
Oh my
So-
Lanta.
Brings us to the next part, rainy ceremonies.
Yeah.
And let's stall the ceremony. Instead of busting down the system, rolling up
Right.
the cords, all this other
Right.
hoop-de-doo, right?
Yeah.
And then the DJ setting up inside,
Yes.
option B, or C, wait it out and roll the speaker out, pop it up, and you got a mic and
Right.
a flash
It's
drive
just
with
so
the
much
music,
more
and
flexible.
boom, go.
Nobody ever thinks about the DJ when it comes to changing the time of the ceremony, like pushing it back
Never.
or starting early. Never, like not one time. And so then when like maybe there's a personal attendant who's trying her best to like appease the bride, and she's like, "Well, can't we just move it?" I'm like, "We have 250 chairs to move,
Right.
and the DJ has to reset. Like, sure, we could move it. Everyone can stand, and we're gonna hum."
You know what's funny is when the bride looks at you and says, I know it's raining. I want to do this outside.
Which happened all this year, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's okay if we're out here, right? No, really, it's not. We've got thousands of dollars of equipment, and you're
Like
you're
you don't want to be
polished.
like you're an idiot, but
right, right,
like you're only thinking about you, which is fine. It's your wedding day,
right.
So I'm just gonna walk away and think how to like say this gently that no, we can't do that.
No, we can't do that. And
bummer.
so-
same thing with photographers, and they're like, well, I can't get my lens wet.
right.
Like it can't get wet.
So here's the deal. What we did is we found a gap to the problem.
Right.
So we've been dealing with rain the last couple of years.
Yes.
A lot of ceremonies delayed. Ceremonies that have been sprinkled on, equipment that's gotten wet. I mean, thankfully, knock on wood, we've no damages to any of the equipment, but we needed to find that gap on how can we provide sound, microphone the officiant, play music,
Mm-hmm.
and do it all within 5 minutes. Like seriously, like that fast.
Right.
And this option for us has worked.
That's nice.
And
That's
it
good
is
to know.
nice because it needed to happen. So you brought up, rain and ceremonies and stuff. So that just
Well, now you can expand to Washington. Slick.
right.
Hawaii.
We're gonna stay right
places
here.
where
We
it
got plenty
rains
to
a
do here.
lot.
Exactly.
That's so great. Yeah, I think that's definitely something to speak to as well. That what you were saying that as wedding planners, if you don't have a day of coordinator or a personal attendant who knows what they're doing, your DJ or your photographer, they're gonna kick your wedding into gear. They're going to be the one pushing to do things next. They're going to be ones like controlling
We
the timeline.
have to.
You have to.
We have to.
If no one's doing it, then it doesn't get done. And then you go home and you literally didn't cut your cake. Like, no one got cake. You didn't cut it. No one ate your cake, and you spent $2,000 on it.
Right. And let me tell you, the reason this is another reason why we tier our talent. We've got standard talent, premium, and exclusive.
Yep.
And people always ask, the standard. If I get the standard DJ, I mean, are they going to show up? Like, I'm like, are you serious right now? You're asking me that question, but people actually think in their head, like, what am I getting? Like standard. I'm like, they might have worked with us for a week, and they're no, I'm kidding. No, they go through.
It's a hobo.
Yeah, like, it rightfully so. But they're just wondering what are the differences.
Right.
And I always say, no matter what DJ you get here, you're going to have a great experience.
There's a baseline. There's
a
a
baseline.
Standard that they have to meet.
Right.
And then they go up from there.
But if you're not going to hire a day of coordinator and you're going to want us to coordinate all this and get the event moving and flowing and this and that, and you got different setups and you got live music, you got all this stuff, I highly recommend you go at a premium or exclusive level DJ talent.
Also, fill out your stupid online form.
Right.
Like, don't leave that to the week before.
Trust me.
You have to fill out your form.
We have a team that just reminds people to do that. So,
and then I get forwarded the email.
Right. If you're the planner, you're getting the email to remind your client. But...
And then I get the email to, like, review you after the wedding. I'm like, wait, let me forward this back to the client.
Right. See, we're diligent, right?
No,
it's all about the process.
I can't review again on Google. I already did. Okay, so let's talk about the actual songs that people are going to pick for their wedding. So maybe we should start with the ceremony and processional. Like, let's just review for people who have never been to a wedding or don't know what a wedding. The processional is the part where the wedding party and or important family members walk down the aisle to either be seated or to stand at the front in front of the altar.
We have done very traditional ceremonies and
like
ceremonies that are
like
right. Your standard traditional classics.
Do you ever do Catholic weddings? Not in a church, but is that possible? Actually, I don't. I think in order to have like a Catholic mass, you have to.
Yeah, you have to be in the mass.
Yeah. But
doing the full service.
But have you ever done like a Catholic wedding where you like have to play hymnals?
No.
Or Lutheran?
No, I mean once you're outside the church or the parish, you're kind of on your own.
You're already a little more non-traditional.
Right.
Right.
Depending on the priest or the pastor, that if they're willing to marry you or not too.
True.
I think people are getting a little bit more loosey-goosey on that too.
Yeah.
To get people to come out and marry, but there's so many non-denominational officiants that can marry. I mean, with
Susan.
We
were just talking about her.
and she's great, and her team is great, and there's a lot of great officiants. There really, really is. But as I'm sitting here talking, I've thought about like some non-traditional weddings that I've done. This was a long time ago, but I don't know if you remember the song C.C. Peniston, Finally.
Mm-mm.
Finally,
oh yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
So I'm a horrible singer, but that's why I stopped. But she came down to that song down the aisle, and it was their personalities.
So
I mean,
cute.
it was awesome because people did not expect it, right? So create an experience, create something different, go outside the box. And then for the recessional, when it was all over with, husband and wife, Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle.
Yes, I've had that too.
Have you really?
Yes, I love it.
And I'm like, this ceremony is so epic. Like, it's just one you will never forget.
And then everyone goes into like the reception being like, yeah.
Totally.
Instead of this weird, awkward, timid, like,
right.
And it's like, oh my gosh, we're at a wedding and there's free alcohol. Like, kick it up, guys.
Kick it up.
I mean, don't be reckless.
Right. Be different, do different things. This was like real quick, right?
Yeah.
So to them, the cocktail hour was super important prior to the ceremony.
Yeah.
They wanted to be a little cocktailed up, and that's fine.
I love
whatever. Don't be hammered before you get married, but
yeah.
And if you want to, that's fine too.
It's your
we'll
life.
still. What's your life? We'll still do it. But to just loosen it up a little bit, have fun, create an experience,
right?
And then back to cocktail hour it went.
Yeah.
So depending on your budget, you can do anything.
Right.
You can create anything. You can
or depending on how you divvy up your budget.
Right.
Right. So like everyone has a budget. I said this in episode 0. Like even Prince Harry has a budget. I mean, it's $560,000.
Is that what the budget is?
I think it's like €550. So that's like $569 American. But
I would have expected way more from him.
Well, because he's second child, I think. I read this like short article, and they're not getting married like I don't know. They're getting married at St. George's
Oh,
Chapel.
interesting.
I don't know. I didn't read it very well. Like, I wasn't prepared to report back to other people about what I had read.
Still would love an invitation to check it out.
Yeah, like if you need a wedding planner,
Right.
right here.
Or a DJ.
Just saying.
Got you covered.
But everyone has a budget. Everyone has a cap that they can spend on their wedding. So it's a poor excuse to be like, well, that doesn't fit in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you should shift and say, is this important to us? Well, this just isn't super important to us. Okay, why is it not important to you? And do you know the implications of it not being important to you? Which is what I always say when people are like, oh, we can't afford a day of coordinating. Okay, that coordinator. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But can you not do it? Like, just make sure you're not cueing your processional while you're waiting to also process.
Right.
Like, that won't work. And
Right.
you won't be happy about it. Or make sure that you're not the one that's driving everyone home at the end of the night.
Right.
Because you didn't plan for transportation and you're the only one that's sober. Like, that's a bad plan.
That's a bad plan.
That's poorly coordinated. So, you know, what is your priority?
Right. And the thing is, too, is you would agree with me on this. Planning a wedding with a couple that has no budget, how fun is that? Now, it's not a license to gouge them.
Right.
But it's a license to create something.
A great experience.
A great experience.
Right.
Let's step outside the box. We'll spend money. It's going to cost money, but it's going to be unbelievable. And I recall doing, because of people, commonly ask, not commonly, but people say, when you're asking about budgets and you're talking about things, they're like, what's the highest budget you've ever had? Like what's the biggest wedding? Like
How
the biggest.
Much? For me, it's not that much. It's like 75 maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
a lot.
That was like 12 grand for alcohol.
Wow. Wow.
It was a very Chicago crowd.
That's cool. So my largest was nearly 300,000.
Yeah.
And
Insanity.
it was a lot of fun to create an environment around that.
An experience.
Mm-hmm. And an experience.
Yeah.
Now, how often is it that we come across that? We've had a few of them that are over 150,
Right.
but they're far and few in
The
between.
average is 25.
Yeah.
So that's
is that truly the average?
Yeah. Wedding report just came out. It was like it's down like 0.01%.
Is that Shane out in Colorado?
Yeah.
I'm shocked at how he gets those numbers.
It's good stats. He collects a lot of data.
Like, who is it? Just him doing it?
No. Well,
Right.
maybe.
Maybe.
Shane, will you tell us?
Props to Shane. Shane,
You're amazing.
seriously, like, he's breaking it down by zip
He's got
code.
that 4-hour work week, I bet. Too.
Right? Or the 4-hour work week. I need to know more about that. But he's breaking down
He
like
gets good stats though.
how much
you taken the questionnaire?
I do. I
That's
do.
why.
I do. But who's
he just
gathering?
collects it from that.
That's just
There's some algorithm and there's like a big computer and he like collects it and then it.
like this dude's collecting
Quantifies.
data, like how much women are spending on hair and makeup in zip code 55105.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so.
It
It's
is
such
cool.
a valuable resource for motivation as a vendor to be like, oh yeah, there's a lot. This is a big pie.
Right?
Like,
Wouldn't
let
it
me
be fun
just
like
take
when
my
your
one
phone
little
rang
slice.
and the algorithm goes, right? We can tie the algorithm with the wedding report with what we do. And like, oh, okay, zip
Yeah,
code
yeah.
542.
inquiries,
Yeah,
and
they live
then
on street
needs,
and their budget
hooks.
is.
Yeah.
And we know we don't even need to ask the question.
Yes. That's invasion of privacy.
It is. But how fun would that be?
Yeah, it'd be so fun.
But no, I'm really I'm very impressed with the wedding report.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think it's helpful too. And then for educating couples, like I get asked the question a ton, like how much should we spend on X? How much should we spend on Y? Well, I can look in and say, well, this is the national average if their budget is lower. So they know like, oh, actually not you're trying to be cheap, but you're being unrealistic for what a professional actually costs. Like just so you know.
and a professional needs to tell them that.
Right. And
For
like
sure.
that's fine if you don't find value in hiring a real person to alter your dress. Just know then your bustle might get stepped on and rip your dress.
Right.
Like that might happen because that was the
That
first
has happened a
bustle
lot.
they ever
Yep.
did. Oh, like so it's just setting realistic expectations for how much people should get paid and then thinking about the other things. I mean, you don't have to do this as a bride and groom, but just being cognizant that McDonald's dinner is different than McCormick and Schmick's dinner. Like that's different.
Right.
And why wouldn't it be applicable to the wedding industry either? Like everything's going to be based on value, quality.
I wish couples did more research on their vendors, set up more meetings, and just saw what the business is about.
Right.
And people are busy, I get it.
I get it.
It's more than just the storefront.
Do we get along?
Mm-hmm.
Did they respond to my emails?
Mm-hmm.
When I asked them for an invoice, did they give me an invoice or did they just resend what they had already sent, which wasn't an updated invoice?
Right.
You know, those are really like little cue signals that like maybe you love their pictures, but maybe that was the photographer
Right.
that took a really great picture.
Right.
And
Or had awesome editing.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the actual service. I mean, I say that and then it's like, but all I have to show of what I do is my pictures.
Right. Right.
I'm completely at the mercy of other photographers.
That's
and
good though, and
videographers.
then you know who to surround yourself with and who's good.
Right.
You're certainly not going to recommend a photographer that you know is going to be horrible.
Right. Or
Right.
recommend someone that you know, like if your friend is like, oh, at our wedding, we loved our DJ. This is why, right?
Right.
If they didn't like them, they're going to tell you. So it's the same thing with your wedding vendors. If you're asking like, hey, wedding vendor, can you suggest like somewhere we should go for transportation? Like they're going to tell you if they've had a good experience or a negative experience. And for me, I give really blatantly honest ones because I have so many clients and they use so many vendors. So I hear about all of them, right? Like maybe, okay, if you go with this company, maybe just don't go with this person because they don't vibe well with what I feel like your personality is, you know? And sometimes that's all it is.
Right. And I think too, like if any company tells you they have just unbelievable reviews, which you know we do, but you have problems. Every company has problems, and people never talk about the problems.
Right. I know. When I post my reviews, I'm always hesitant to be like, I don't know if I want to post like this whole thing, like where, because then you have to go into the whole story.
Right.
For me, you do, right? If a bride's like, well, we wish that our guests had known where to park more. For my audience, like they might look at that and be like, well, you planned a bad wedding, but I didn't plan their wedding. I was their day of coordinator, which means I'm just coordinating what you plan. So I feel like that's kind of tricky. I don't know. That was like a personal side note.
It gets tricky.
It gets tricky.
Every company has problems, but you know what? It's all about how you address the problem.
Right.
Do you attack the client or do you
Oh,
sympathize?
Absolutely. You're an idiot.
You know,
I said that already before. You're an idiot client.
Right. I mean, and it's surprising. Like, you know, you go back to these reviews on Wedding Wire and the Knot, and
yeah, I don't know about those reviews.
Yeah,
Wedding Wire is tough because can't you just post anything?
You
like,
can
even
post
if you,
anything.
Even okay, this is a big one, brides and grooms. Even if you did not hire that person, you can post a review.
You can.
A negative one, and that is defamation. That's illegal.
Right.
If you didn't actually use their service, you can't write negative things about them.
Right.
You didn't even use them. But that you can do that on Wedding Wire. So that's a huge, I feel like, red.
Yeah, you can.
Sorry, Wedding Wire, but that's a huge red flag.
Yeah. Well, and it's no different with Yelp. You know, they can. Yelp is. I'm telling you, it's.
I don't know if I would find my wedding vendors on Yelp.
Well, and the thing is we have all these amazing, because we send out, you know, people review us at Yelp, review us at the Google Plus page, the Knot, Wedding Wire, all these, and all these beautiful reviews that people have to say, but the algorithm held it, and it's I don't know what term they use at Yelp, but I'm telling you, it's everything should post. If they're going to post everywhere else, you should post the good, the bad, the ugly.
Isn't it like that on Facebook too? Like where you can't see all of the reviews. You only see like the ones that they think are good. And then if you click on most recent, then it'll do chronological order.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
I'm unfamiliar with that. I
don't know. But just grain of salt, right?
Right.
Read the review.
I just know I've had some conversations with Yelp over the years.
Yeah.
And the way their algorithms work is successful for them, and that's just the way it's going to be. So I choose not to join Yelp for various reasons, because you know they're screening all my good reviews, and you know, like I said, but going back to every company's going to have negative press, negative reviews. It's about how they deal with it. Right. If there's a problem, I mean, are we perfect? Would we like to be perfect? Absolutely.
I'm perfect.
You're perfect. I knew you were perfect. That's why I'm sitting here today, right?
I'm an only child. Have over excessive
a lot of experience.
Amounts of confidence. No,
right.
Like I just feel like I'm great. My mom tells me I'm great, so I must be great.
You are great. It's all in how you feel, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, it's going back to the reviews. It's one of those things where it's how you respond. If you got problems, own it. And then of course, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reviews that people have amazing and glowing things to say. And that honestly is the icing on the cake for us. is to go back and review and see the reviews and
Yeah.
forward them to the DJs. And the DJs,
Yeah.
it makes them happy and want to come back
Oh,
to
they
work. the
remembered
next-
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just did a new reviews page on my website, and I love my reviews. Like, I want to do those weddings again.
Right.
Honestly, if I could have the same clients I've always had forever, that'd be great.
But here again, if you're really, you're kind of interviewing your client.
Yeah.
Or we are at Adagio. What's your vision?
Yep.
Do we fit the vision?
Do we fit?
Do we fit?
If we don't fit, that's fine.
That's
like,
totally
don't hire
fine.
me.
Exactly.
If you don't laugh at my jokes, OMG, like, walk away right now. Like, I'll still pay
What
for your
jokes do
coffee.
you have?
but-
Do I need to learn some new jokes?
No, they're not like knock knock jokes.
Oh,
they're
okay.
just like weird finger pointing and
Yeah.
like awkward sayings. That's all.
I love
all
it.
is.
I love it. It works.
It does
right?
work.
It works. But it's about making the people feel comfortable,
Right.
delivering the experience, making sure it's a good fit. If it's not a good fit, cut ties. You know,
Ties. That's okay.
if you want to spend $400, not the right fit.
Yes. And I don't know. You could.
And then you get very very few meetings and consultations do you get couples that want bubbles, lasers, fog shows. But they come across and I'm like, excellent, I'm glad we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
And we're not the right fit.
Right.
But where you can be a benefit and a value in a company,
Here's
you don't want to make them
someone
feel
who
bad.
is a good fit.
Here's
for you.
someone who is a good fit. Go see them.
Right.
They will take care of you.
Right.
It's just not what we do at Adagio, and everything we do is tasteful, subtle, simple. Less is more.
What are some of the things that you do as add-ons? So DJ for the reception or ceremony, and then also live music for the ceremony or reception. Cocktail hour?
We had a hypnosis show prior to the ceremony. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Totally separate, right? No, we have disc jockeys, live music.
Yeah.
We offer videography services.
Yes.
Who's our partner, John,
Yep,
who's
I've worked with
amazing.
John.
John's amazing. Everybody loves John.
And he's such a good fit for the clients that I've had.
Mhm.
They're like,
He's a
this
good
is
fit for everybody.
exactly what I want. And then he's like, here's exactly what you wanted.
He's flexible and he's a great listener.
Super nice.
Totally
Blends
fits our
into the
brand.
background.
Yep.
Like Alma and Mike's wedding, I don't think I saw him one time. Like I
Mhm.
saw him when he first got there, and then he was never like, Josie, can you help me with this? Josie,
Right.
can you turn my camera?
Self-sufficient.
Josie, can you do this?
And that's the way it should be. And that
Right.
stems to our DJs too. Hey, do you got an extra cord? Do you got an extra? No. you need to be.
I
bringing
brought
this
my
up.
cords.
Right, right.
I parked already. I know where to park.
So we got
Oh.
disc jockeys, live musicians. We do ceremony sound system rentals, mood lighting, event mood lighting,
Uplighting.
uplighting.
I love
Krista,
uplighting.
dance instruction. Now you talk about doing something
I didn't know
different.
Krista did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's
Should I take it?
amazing. She is Minnesota Bride's best of dance instructor for several years in a row. She competes. She is phenomenal. She's got the studio right there at our event center at 413 on Wakuta, and
Wakuta.
that's where we office out of, and it's been a great fit for our business. And she coaches couples on their first dance. You can buy single lessons, you can buy packages. Whatever you do, she's going to make you look amazing.
And first dance with like mom or dad too, right?
You could do
Yeah.
a first dance. You can do a couple. She's done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But when you work with Krista, you just knock it out of the park
Yeah.
with your first dance.
That's awesome.
So it's something
and,
different. Great
And I
experience.
would say that by and large, boring first dances this year. Sorry,
Yeah.
clients, but and I think they would agree because they all cut their songs short because they're like, we don't need to focus on that. We just want to do it because it's special. But I didn't see anything choreographed. I mean, it's just a short, meaningful moment.
Right, and you're going to work with clients too that just don't feel comfortable being in the spotlight,
Yes.
and they get anxiety. I mean, we
Yes.
have couples that have had anxiety prior to that moment, and
Mhm.
it's sad. We feel bad, and we just create something. We don't be like, hey, the bride's having an anxiety attack. We'll wait on the first dance for 20 minutes.
Or maybe the dad's too drunk. I've had one or two of
Oh,
those
yeah.
where you can tell dad's grip is tightening too much,
Right.
and it's like, okay, everyone, give him a hand.
Right. I could tell you stories if we had an hour or two on first dances, and a lot of crazy stories.
Okay.
A lot of unfortunate stories too.
Right, and that because they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to have a good plan.
So with a first dance too, I think it's super important for it to, as a couple, to work together and come together. You're working on the flowers and the cake and all these different things to be meaningful for the guests. And I think couples should make a list of songs that would remind you of your spouse. Now, I can't even tell you how many times for a first dance the lyrics have been completely inappropriate for a first dance.
Yeah.
Like like really they're dancing to this?
Yeah. Your moms are watching. Like
Right. And then, make it memorable and think of the mood you want to convey
Right.
on the wedding day and what would their friends and family want to feel like during the first dance. And what are you going for? Are you going for like a wow factor or they're so romantic or more
or
of that
something
kind of
fun,
vibe?
because
Right.
the next part is everyone get on the dance floor.
Right.
So maybe not having 4-minute long songs for each of those 3 first dances.
Right. Or a song that they, when they met at dance class or a song that would be meaningful or man, every time I see them dance to this song, they always look like they're so in love. So again, just step outside the box and look at it as, what would your guests want for
Right.
you
And tell people why it's meaningful
Right.
too. I think sometimes there's like, maybe it's an off the wall song that people are like, what?
Right.
They're playing this song? Have your DJ be like, oh, and by the way, this is why they're playing this song, or
know
say a
the
little
lyrics.
bit.
You got to know the lyrics. Even if you think the song is beautiful, know the lyrics.
Yes.
So
That's awkward if
it can
there's
be.
humping references.
Well, it
Ugh.
depends on the client. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it does depend on the client. Okay, I know there's a wedding fair coming up, so where can listeners find Adagio?
Listeners will always find Adagio at the Twin Cities Wedding Association bridal fairs and
Yep.
wedding fairs.
Yep, at the Minneapolis Convention Center.
They're incredible fairs. They bring out the numbers. They bring out the people. They're solid.
It's fun too.
It's fun. It's elegant.
You can spend a couple hours there.
Yeah,
Easy.
with Nikki and Josh and Kim and everybody over in Andrew at Twin Cities Wedding Association. They're amazing people. I'm always proud to be a part of that fair every year. We've been huge supporters of it, but they can always find us at the wedding fair.
And there's the live, what's that called? Fashion show?
The runway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys DJ that?
No.
They do a preset.
Yep, they do a preset.
Yeah.
And they do a fantastic job. Dave Ryan from KDWB
Oh,
is
yeah,
often
yeah.
the commentator and,
Yep.
and MC.
Yep.
He does a nice job. They really do a nice job. And Betsy is the one that coordinates and puts all that together.
It's amazing.
With the team.
And this year they had like that live proposal.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
didn't
totally
see that.
missed it.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
I saw it on Facebook later and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that was probably one of those like, woos that
Yeah.
I heard and was like, oh, that wedding
One of the
show,
male
it's
models,
so
right?
fun.
Male models and one of the female models.
Yeah, and they'd been doing the show together for like a few years.
That's cool.
And
That's
then
very
he
cool.
proposed on stage and she
Different.
was like,
See?
what?
Stepping outside the box,
So
making an
sweet.
experience.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then girls in the front row are like swooning, like,
Of course.
"Ah."
Of course.
Even though they're all engaged. Never mind. They're
Right.
not swooning.
So what is it? The biggest round of proposals happen when? Around the holidays?
Yes.
That's the
Christmas
word on the
Eve,
street.
Christmas Day, New Year's
Mhm.
Eve, New Year's Day, Valentine's, Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Christmas, the Saturday before Christmas.
Wow.
It's all those days.
And then January 7th, the show happens, right?
yes.
I mean, what a perfect time to have that show.
Yes. If you're newly engaged, it's a good place to start. Nikki and I were talking about that. It's a good place to start if you're feeling like, what? I don't even know what my wedding's going to be like. What do I want? Because then you at least get to just like see how many vendors there are.
Right.
Because I feel like often when you're starting planning your wedding, you go online and you just see like a small subset, or you go on the Knot and then there's all those other vendors that don't even have pictures or whatever. Well, that they still exist and they're probably really, I don't have a picture on the Knot. Like it's probably like a really good vendor. So I think it's good to see that there are a lot of options. If you are working with a vendor you don't like, stop working with them.
Absolutely.
Stop. There
Cut the
are
ties
so many
immediately.
vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of vendors that really want to help you have a good wedding
Right.
and to do a good job for you specifically.
If you're not feeling right about working with a vendor, you got to cut ties.
Just do
Cut it right then and there. You're not going to regret it.
Even if you lose a deposit,
big deal.
I think that this is your one wedding that you're going to have. And think about it. Realistically, your deposit is probably less than 5% of your total wedding budget.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe just don't get coffee for a month and that would cover it. I
Isn't
don't
it
know.
amazing
Do
how much we
people-
spend on coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
Ah.
I drink my flippin'
Yeah, that
pineapple
looks
water.
fancy over there. You got a big stick of
My
fruit in there with
pineapple
water.
core.
And, wow.
I know.
That's
I'm
impressive.
so sensitive. It's organic water. So
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
it works. It works.
Okay, so let's wrap up. Where can listeners find Adagio online?
Everywhere. Go to Google.
Google.
Adagio DJ Entertainment, and DJ spelled DJ-A-Y. You'll find it either way.
Yep.
And then our website is www.adagio.com. adagiodj.com. That's ADAG as in George.
There you go.
IO, the letter D like David, J like John.com. So adagiodj.com. And if they want to get a quote and get a personalized quote, just go there, fill out the quote form.
It can't hurt.
No.
Just to know. Like
we need to know how to serve them.
Starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I tell my clients all the time, too. Like, okay, we don't know how much this is going to cost. Well, just get 3 quotes.
Yep.
Get 3 quotes that from companies that you kind of think you might like. Compare them. Say, okay, well, this company doesn't include the ceremony.
Right.
And is this much money, which is the same as this company that does include the ceremony. Okay, well, does that change your decision at all? You have to start somewhere. And
you always have to start
somewhere. And not starting is like a piss poor excuse. Like, just
clearly a piss poor excuse.
Tell me and I'll put your contact information in the form.
But it's okay to ask the question, what do you charge?
Right.
Because nobody knows what else to ask.
Right.
What do you charge? And then chunk it down like you said.
Yeah, meet with them. Like, they're not going to, I feel like nowadays people aren't as salesy as we're all afraid that they are. If you just meet with them and you're like, oh, okay, great. Like, they're not going to be like, and before you leave, you have to sign, I took your car keys when you weren't looking. Key cars.
Key cards.
Yes, I think that's a sign that we're tapped out.
And visit their digs, visit their office, see what they're all about.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Are you a professional and you're charging this much? Or are you not a professional but you're still charging this much?
Right.
Red flag.
A lot of red flags there could be. If people just did the research and actually met with people and
just
saw what they're about, you're going to get such a great feeling.
Right. Agreed. All right. Well, I think we're done.
Awesome.
Would you like to high five on it?
Yeah, high five.
All right.
Boom. This is awesome. Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate it. And
absolutely.
Hopefully it was of valuable advice. And
large value.
You're awesome at what you do, and I think a lot of you and your company. And
great.
Can
you leave a review for me on Yelp?
Oh, on Yelp. I could do it twice, and it probably wouldn't stick.
Never mind.
But yeah, I could get into. Gosh, it's crazy. But yeah, no, thank you for having me here, and I wish you much success. And
I'll see you this year.
You will, a ton. That's good. Keep sending people our way.
Done deal.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All right.
You're on my